Every time you board an airplane, you step into one of the safest and most carefully engineered machines ever created. Yet almost everything happening around you is designed to influence your decisions without you even noticing. The seat you choose, the boarding process, the announcements you hear, even the smile from the flight attendant as you walk through the aircraft door. None of it is as simple as it appears. Airlines don't tell passengers everything, not because they're trying to hide dangerous secrets, but because most people never think to ask. After thousands of commercial flights, conversations with pilots, cabin crew, airport employees, and aviation professionals, one thing becomes obvious. The average traveler only sees about 10% of what is really happening. Behind every delayed departure is a story. Behind every seat assignment is a calculation. Behind every safety instruction is a lesson written in aviation history. Today, we're pulling back the curtain. You'll discover why some passengers always seem to get upgraded, why your seat map isn't showing you the whole picture, why experienced travelers avoid certain rows, why flight attendants quietly observe every passenger before takeoff. And later, I'll reveal one simple mistake millions of travelers make every year that can ruin an entire vacation before they even leave the airport. If you fly even once a year, this video could completely change how you travel forever. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, what's the longest flight you've ever taken? I'd love to see which countries everyone is watching from. Now fasten your seatbelt. Let's uncover the hidden world of commercial aviation. Secret number 1. The seat map is playing a game you can't see. Most people think booking a flight is simple. Open the Airline app, look at the seat map, choose an empty seat. Done. But that's not actually what's happening. The seat map you see is only part of the real picture. Airlines constantly adjust seating behind the scenes for reasons most passengers never consider. The aircraft has to remain balanced. Families traveling with infants often need specific rows. Passengers with reduced mobility may require easy access. Crew members traveling to another destination for work may already have reserved seats that aren't visible to regular customers. Some seats are intentionally held back for elite frequent flyers. Others stay blocked until the final hour before departure. This explains something many travelers have experienced. You check in online, the flight looks almost full. Then somehow, after boarding, entire rows remain empty. Those seats weren't forgotten. They were strategically managed. Here's another interesting trick. Sometimes checking in exactly 24 hours before departure isn't the smartest move. If you're traveling alone, waiting a little longer can occasionally increase your chances of being reassigned to a better seat after the airline finishes balancing passenger distribution. It's never guaranteed, but experienced travelers know that patience sometimes pays off. Now let's talk about comfort. Most people assume first class is the only place to enjoy a smooth flight. Not true. Physics doesn't care how much your ticket costs. Every airplane rotates around a center point located close to the wings. Imagine sitting on a playground seesaw. The closer you are to the middle, the less movement you feel. Passengers seated near the wings usually experience less bouncing during turbulence than those sitting near the tail. If turbulence makes you nervous, choosing a seat over the wing can make the experience feel noticeably calmer. The difference isn't imaginary, it's basic aircraft movement. Here's another detail almost nobody notices. Look above certain airplane windows. You'll often see a small black triangle. Most passengers never pay attention to it. Pilots and cabin crew certainly do. Those markers identify windows with the clearest view of the wings. If the crew needs to quickly inspect ice buildup, engine conditions, or flap positions, they instantly know where to look. The funny part, those windows also happen to offer some of the best views during takeoff and landing. Next time you fly, see if you can spot one. You'll never unsee it again. If you've already noticed those little black triangles before today, type triangle in the comments. Let's see how many aviation enthusiasts are watching. Now here's something even more surprising. The seat you choose could affect far more than your comfort. It may influence how quickly you leave the aircraft after landing, and that's where our next secret begins. Secret number 2. Boarding is carefully choreographed. Boarding an airplane often feels chaotic. People stand too early. Others block the aisle. Some passengers seem determined to bring half their house as carry-on luggage. It looks disorganized. In reality, airlines spend years studying boarding efficiency. Researchers have tested dozens of boarding methods. Front to back to front, random boarding, window first, outside in. Surprisingly, many methods passengers think would be faster actually create more delays. Every person stopping to place luggage in the overhead bin creates a traffic jam behind them. One slow passenger can delay hundreds of people. That's why experienced travelers pack efficiently. The faster you store your bag, flag, the faster everyone boards. But there's another hidden reason airlines care about boarding speed. Every minute an aircraft sits at the gate costs money. Airport fees, crew schedules, fuel planning, connecting flights, ground operations. A short delay at departure can create a chain reaction affecting flights across an entire network. This is why gate agents sometimes sound unusually strict about boarding groups. They're protecting a schedule that stretches far beyond your flight. Here's another interesting observation. Have you noticed how some passengers always board first without paying for priority? Many are frequent flyers who earned elite status after years of travel. Others may have special assistance requirements, and some are crew members positioning for another flight. Not everyone standing in the priority lane paid extra. Sometimes experience opens doors that money cannot. Now imagine you've finally reached the aircraft door. A smiling flight attendant welcomes you on board. Most people smile back without giving it another thought. But during those few seconds, something important is happening. Secret number 3. That friendly greeting is also a silent safety assessment. Every passenger receives the same warm welcome. Good morning. Welcome aboard. How are you today? Simple words, but experienced cabin crew are gathering information almost instantly. Does the passenger appear sick? Are they struggling to walk? Do they seem unusually nervous? Have they consumed too much alcohol? Could they assist during an emergency if necessary?
Cabin
crew members receive extensive safety training. They're not simply serving drinks. They're responsible for evacuating an aircraft if something goes wrong. During boarding, they're mentally building a picture of everyone entering the cabin. They notice confident travelers, medical professionals, off-duty pilots, military personnel. They also identify elderly passengers, parents traveling alone, people needing extra assistance. None of this is meant to judge anyone. It's preparation, because if an emergency ever occurs, seconds matter. Here's something else many travelers overlook. Your attitude during boarding often shapes your interaction with the crew for the rest of the flight. Passengers who remain patient during delays, speak respectfully, follow instructions, and treat crew members with kindness often receive noticeably better service. Not because it's a reward, because positive communication makes every interaction easier. A simple smile can completely change the atmosphere on board. Remember, flight attendants spend hours managing hundreds of personalities inside a pressurized metal tube thousands of feet above the ground. Kindness travels a long way. Speaking of hidden responsibilities, there are dozens of airplane features sitting right in front of your eyes that most passengers have never noticed. Some could even help you during an emergency, and one of them is probably only a few inches from your seat. We'll uncover those hidden aircraft features next. But before we continue, if you've learned something new so far, take 1 second to hit the like button. It tells YouTube that this video deserves to reach more travelers. And if you're passionate about smarter travel, aviation secrets, and practical flying tips that save time, money, and stress, subscribe now because we've got many more insider guides coming your way. Let's continue. Secret number 4. Hidden features built right into your seat. We spend hours sitting inside an aircraft. Yet most passengers never realize they're surrounded by features designed for situations they hope they'll never experience. Some improve comfort, some improve safety, some exist because of lessons learned from real aviation incidents. Once you notice them, you'll never look at an airplane the same way again. Take a look around your seat the next time you fly. You're probably sitting inches away from engineering details that most passengers have never discovered. Let's start with the armrest. If you've ever struggled to get into an aisle seat because the armrest wouldn't move, there's something airlines rarely mention. On many aircraft, the aisle armrest has a hidden release underneath. Reach near the hinge on the bottom side, and you'll often find a small latch. Press it, and the armrest lifts completely. The feature was designed to help passengers with limited mobility board and exit more easily. But frequent travelers also appreciate it when they need a little extra room. Another feature is above your head. During turbulence, you've probably seen flight attendants walking confidently through the cabin while everyone else is gripping the seats. Look closely beneath many overhead bins. You'll often find recessed handholds running along the cabin. Cabin crew use these to steady themselves while moving through the aisle. Instead of pulling on passengers' seats, they can keep their balance without disturbing anyone. Now notice the tray table. It seems ordinary, but during takeoff and landing, the crew insists that it be folded away. Many travelers assume it's just another airline rule. There's a much more important reason. In an emergency, Every second counts. A tray table sticking out can slow you down as you try to stand. It can block your movement. It can even increase injuries during a sudden stop. Multiply that by hundreds of passengers trying to evacuate at the same time, and a small obstacle quickly becomes a serious problem. Now let's look outside the aircraft. Have you ever noticed small yellow markings or attachment points on the wings while boarding? Most passengers assume they're maintenance equipment. They're actually reference points used during emergency evacuations over water. If an aircraft ever has to ditch on water, crew members can secure lifelines to those points, helping passengers safely move across the slippery wing toward the evacuation slides. It's a feature most people will thankfully never need, but it's another reminder of how carefully every detail is planned. Here's something to think about. How many hidden airplane features have you personally noticed before watching this video? Tell me your answer in the comments. I'm curious to see which detail surprised you the most. Now let's move from hidden equipment to something passengers complain about on almost every flight: the rules. Some people believe airlines invent them simply to make life difficult. The truth is far more interesting. Secret number 5. The rules that exist because someone didn't survive. Almost every safety instruction on an airplane has a story behind it. Unfortunately, many of those stories were written after accidents. Let's start with your seat. Just before takeoff, flight attendants ask everyone to return their seat to the upright position. It feels unnecessary. After all, you're only moving a few inches. But imagine trying to escape quickly if the passenger in front of you is fully reclined. That small angle could trap your legs, slow your reaction, or block someone behind you. In aviation, seconds save lives. The same logic applies to your carry-on bag. People often try to keep backpacks at their feet during takeoff. It seems convenient until the aircraft stops suddenly. Loose objects become dangerous projectiles. Even something as harmless as a laptop can become a serious hazard during rapid deceleration. That's why everything must be secured. Then there are the window shades. Many passengers close them because they want to sleep, but during takeoff and landing, crews ask for them to be opened. It's not for sightseeing. It's so cabin crew can immediately see what's happening outside. If there's smoke, fire, debris, or water, the crew needs that information before opening an exit. Passengers also benefit. Your eyes naturally adjust to outside lighting conditions. If an evacuation becomes necessary, you won't waste valuable moments trying to adapt to sudden brightness or darkness. Now let's talk about one rule that people ignore more than almost any other: keeping your seatbelt fastened while seated. Many travelers remove it the second the seatbelt sign turns off. Experienced travelers do the opposite. They leave it loosely fastened throughout the flight. Why? Because clear skies don't always stay clear. Unexpected turbulence has injured countless passengers who believed the smooth ride would continue. Some of the worst turbulence strikes without warning. The aircraft doesn't have to be inside a storm. Invisible air currents can create sudden drops that throw unbelted passengers upward. Pilots can't always see them. Radar isn't designed to detect every pocket of clear air turbulence. That's why experienced crew members often stay buckled whenever possible. It's one of the simplest habits that can make a real difference. Speaking of things passengers misunderstand, there's one part of the aircraft surrounded by myths, internet rumors, and Hollywood fiction: the cabin door. Let's clear that up once and for all. Secret number 6. The biggest airplane myth ever created. Almost everyone has seen a movie where someone threatens to open the aircraft door during flight. It creates great drama, but it isn't grounded in reality. Once a commercial aircraft reaches cruising altitude, the cabin becomes pressurized. The air pressure inside pushes outward against every door. Modern aircraft doors are designed like giant plugs. Before they can open, they must first move inward. At cruising altitude, that's practically impossible because of the enormous pressure difference. In simple terms, the aircraft itself is helping keep every door securely locked. Even the strongest person couldn't simply pull it open during normal flight. That's one less thing nervous travelers need to worry about. Here's another interesting detail. The cockpit door wasn't always as secure as it is today. Modern reinforced cockpit doors remain locked during flight, with strict access procedures that pilots and cabin crew follow carefully. Passengers rarely notice these procedures because they're designed to be discreet. Everything happens quietly, smoothly, professionally. It's another example of how aviation continuously evolves by learning from the past. Now here's a question. If you could spend one day inside an airline's training academy, what would you want to learn first? Would it be pilot training, cabin crew safety drills, air traffic control, or aircraft engineering? Leave your answer below. I'd love to know. Coming up next, we're going behind the scenes of something every traveler experiences, but very few understand. Food, drinks, cabin air, jet lag, and the surprising reason your favorite soft drink tastes completely different at 35,000 feet. Trust me, the science behind it is fascinating. And once you understand what's happening inside your body during a flight, you'll travel much more comfortably. So stay with me, because some of the biggest secrets are still ahead. Secret number 7. Your body is fighting the cabin environment. Have you ever landed after a long flight feeling unusually tired, dehydrated, or bloated? You slept, you barely moved, yet somehow you feel exhausted. That's because your body has been working harder than you realize. Although commercial jets cruise at around 35,000 feet, the cabin isn't pressurized to sea level. Instead, it's maintained at the equivalent of several thousand feet above sea level. That lower pressure changes how your body behaves. The first thing affected is moisture. Cabin air is incredibly dry, far drier than most deserts. Every breath you take removes moisture from your nose, mouth, throat, and skin. That's why many passengers wake up with dry lips, irritated eyes, or a scratchy throat after a long flight. Now add coffee, alcohol, or multiple soft drinks. Each one can make dehydration worse. This is why experienced travelers start drinking water before boarding instead of waiting until they're already in the air. Hydration begins on the ground, not after takeoff. But dehydration isn't the only change. Your sense of taste also changes. Have you ever wondered why airline food often tastes bland? It isn't necessarily because the chef did a poor job. Your taste buds become less sensitive at altitude. Sweet flavors seem weaker. Salty foods don't taste as strong. Even your sense of smell becomes less effective, which directly affects flavor. That's why airlines often prepare meals with stronger seasonings than you would normally eat at home. They aren't over-seasoning the food, they're compensating for what your senses are losing. Then something unusual happens. Foods rich in umami suddenly become much more enjoyable. That's one reason tomato juice becomes surprisingly popular during flights. Many people who never drink it on the ground suddenly crave it in the air. Your brain hasn't changed, your taste perception has. Here's another interesting question. What's your favorite drink during a flight? Coffee, tea, water, juice, or something else? Tell everyone in the comments. You might discover a new favorite from another traveler. Now let's talk about the drink that flight attendants secretly hope you don't order. The next secret explains why one ordinary soft drink behaves completely differently at 35,000 feet. And once you understand the science behind it, you'll probably never look at airplane drinks the same way again. Secret number 8. Why flight attendants hate pouring Diet Coke. Which brings us to the most controversial beverage in the sky. You've probably heard jokes that flight attendants hate pouring Diet Coke. It's not because they're judging your choice. It's because of physics. Airplane cabins are pressurized to around 8,000 feet. At that lower pressure, the carbon dioxide in sodas comes out of solution much faster, creating excessive foam. Instead of pouring smoothly into a cup, the drink creates thick foam that rises almost instantly. Flight attendants can't simply fill the cup. They have to pour a little. Wait, pour again, wait again. Repeat until the cup is finally full. Multiply that process by dozens of passengers, and beverage service slows noticeably. Some cabin crews even joke about it among themselves. But here's the part that affects you. Those bubbles don't disappear. Many of them end up inside your digestive system. Gas naturally expands in lower air pressure. So if you're already prone to bloating, drinking carbonated beverages can make you feel even more uncomfortable. But here's the part that affects you. Those bubbles don't disappear. Many of them end up inside your digestive system. Gas naturally expands in lower air pressure. So if you're already prone to bloating, drinking carbonated beverages can make you feel even more uncomfortable. If you're planning to sleep during the flight, still water or herbal tea is usually a better choice. Your stomach will probably thank you later. Another habit seasoned travelers follow is eating lighter before departure. Heavy meals combined with long periods of sitting often make flights feel much longer than they really are. Small decisions before boarding can completely change how you feel after landing. Speaking of things passengers rarely think about, have you ever wondered where the flight attendants disappear to during a 13-hour flight? They're not vanishing. They're using one of the aircraft's best hidden features. Behind that hidden door is something most passengers never know exists. And once you see it, you'll never look at long-haul flights the same way again. Secret number 9. The hidden rooms above your head. Ever wondered where flight attendants go when the cabin lights dim and the aisles are empty? On long-haul flights, augmented crews require rest breaks just like pilots. New wide-body aircraft have secret crew rest compartments concealed above the main cabin or beneath the passenger deck. These hidden rooms are accessed through discreet doors that most travelers never notice. Inside, you'll find comfortable bunk beds, personal reading lights, ventilation controls, privacy curtains, storage compartments, everything the crew needs to recharge before returning to work. Pilots have their own separate rest areas closer to the flight deck. On older aircraft without dedicated bunks, off-duty pilots may rest in specially reserved premium seats. Knowing that the crew gets proper rest should reassure you during those ultra-long flights. There's always a fresh pair of eyes ready to take over. At this point, you might be thinking there's a secret manual flight attendants read that passengers never see. In a way, there is. It's the training and experience that comes from living on airplanes. The best thing you can do as a passenger is to follow instructions, buckle up, stay hydrated, and be kind. If something feels off, a strange smell, a passenger who appears unwell, or an unusual noise, don't hesitate to press the call button. Flight attendants would much rather check something small than deal with a bigger problem later. Now I'm curious. What's the strangest thing you've ever experienced on a flight? Tell us in the comments. Final thoughts. The secret behind every safe flight. They're all part of an incredibly complex system designed with one goal: getting millions of people safely to their destinations every single day. They're all part of an incredibly complex system designed with one goal: getting millions of people safely to their destinations every single day. The biggest secret airlines never tell passengers isn't hidden inside the cockpit. It isn't inside the cabin. And it isn't written on your boarding pass. It's this. Commercial aviation is built on preparation. Every checklist, every procedure, every inspection, every announcement, every safety rule exists because someone spent decades asking one important question: how can we make the next flight even safer than the last? That's why modern air travel remains one of the safest forms of transportation ever created. The more you understand how it works, the more confidently you'll travel. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's the most surprising airline secret you learned today? Or what's the strangest thing you've ever experienced on a flight? Share your story in the comments. I read as many as I can, and your experience might help another traveler. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden world of aviation, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another travel guide. And if you're planning another trip soon, click the next video on your screen right now. It reveals even more airport hacks, airline tricks, and travel secrets that most passengers never discover. Until then, travel smart, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next adventure.